Are great property investors born or made? Hi, I'm Michael Yardney, and if you're like me, you were told from a very young age that if you want to succeed at something, be it sport, school, musical instrument, that you must put in the time, hard work, and importantly, practice. Most of us learned our times table by repeating them over and over again. Practicing multiplication was the most effective means of learning the skill. Well, the same applies to property investment. Successful property investors aren't born with a how-to manual, and they certainly don't rely on luck. Fact is, one of the big differences between athletes, musicians and business people who excel in their chosen field compared to the average Joe is in the years of practice they dedicate to honing their craft. And yes, this also applies to property investment. Successful property investors understand that to be good at what they do, creating wealth with real estate, they must learn the rules, gain experience by doing it, and then improve by refining how they do it. In his book Outlier, Malcolm Gladwell noted that in the most complex occupations, where complex cognitive and motor skills are required, such as performing complicated surgery or playing the piano, experts in these fields really have to have an average of 10,000 hours of training. I guess the key is to be able to eliminate all the noise. You need to be able to chunk down with all the information available into bite-sized pieces through a finely honed retrieval system that can quickly screen out all the irrelevant options given the specific situation. This skill comes from familiarity gained by doing it. Like the top tennis players who through experience have developed a sense of where the ball is likely to be served by unconsciously noting the subtle changes in the stance of their opponent, or the champion cricketer who seems to be able to anticipate a ball and knows exactly where it's going to be bowled even before it's left the bowler's hands. It's this same type of perspective that gives a seasoned property investor an edge over the average investor. Think about it. Having lived and invested through 5 property cycles means I don't have to get carried away by all the property naysayers and the doomsday merchants that seem to be concerned by what's going on, and they're worrying a lot of other investors. Now look, I'm not an internal optimist. It's just that I've seen it all before. No matter which investment strategy you select, be it capital growth or cash flow, renovations or property development, you're likely to find a small group of investors, say 10%, do really well and the rest struggle. Rather than jumping from one shiny toy to the next like the average investor does, these successful investors do the same thing over and over again. They set their goals, map their course, and then keep doing what works, refining their skills along the way. By sticking with tried and true and tested strategy, these investors know how to navigate any tricky bumps in the road and become accustomed to seeing opportunities and potential earning power in the market. This means their success depends on them and the skills that they've refined through their investment journey rather than the market outside. But that's not how most investors do it, is it? Most beginning investors want to climb the property ladder all the way to the top, and nothing's going to stand their way. They usually start with the latest fads from some get-rich-quick seminar, or they buy their first investment property and then they look for the next big way to make $1 million. And thus begins a cycle of jumping from one bandwagon to the next. However, we know most investors never achieve financial freedom. In fact, many never get past their second property, do they? This is in part because they've never refined their real estate strategy and taken the time to learn the rules of the game. So they inevitably fall at the first hurdle and more often than not call it quits before they make any progress at all. That's why around 20% of people getting involved in property investment sell up in the first year, and about 50% of those getting involved sell up in the first 5 years. So how will you know when you become an expert? The way to become an expert is to do one thing 100 times rather than 100 things once. Yes, practice makes perfect, which means rather than looking for that one big deal that's going to make you get rich quickly, you should start your investment journey gently, knowing that you're going to make some mistakes along the way and learning from these. And that's going to make you a better investor. But before you panic about having to commit 10,000 hours or so to property investment before you can call yourself an expert, let me assure you there are ways to speed up the learning process in real estate. The simplest way is to find a mentor, somebody who's already achieved what you want to achieve, and then let them guide you. Study how they think, because that's likely to be a really large part of their success. It comes with mindset, of course. Then emulate their successful behaviours, learn from their mistakes in order to advance your own skills and refine your own strategies. Are you wondering how you're going to know when you're an expert? The main thing that separates the successful investor from the wannabes is the ability to consistently outperform the averages. And yes, to get to this level of expertise, it does take time, it does take patience, it does take practice. But you can speed it up. The safest way I know how to speed up your learning curve and save yourself making mistakes, as I said, is to learn from experts. But really be careful who you're going to take advice from. You've got to take advice from those who've done it successfully and significantly and kept their wealth for a long period of time. In other words, from practitioners, not from teachers. Now, there's a long, long list of people who've conducted property seminars over the last 15 years giving what sounded like good advice, but they're no longer around. Sure, there are those who can teach, even if they haven't done it, but why take the risk? Instead, why not join me and the best faculty of experts I could put together at my annual Property Renovations and Development Workshop? Whether you're already an experienced investor or you want to fast track your success, if you really want to develop financial independence, I suggest you join us for 3 powerful days and learn the renovation and development strategies that experienced property investors are using around Australia to manufacture capital growth. They're also manufacturing strong rental returns too, and that's allowing them to win in these markets. So go to realestateworkshop.com.au, get all the details and join us for 3 days in October.